Good evening. My name is Ben Becker. I'm a father of 3 and a public school parent in Houston ISD. I have come 200 miles today because I am concerned about the fate of public education in Texas. Waco is also a special place for me. My wife and I met at Baylor and married here. I lived in Waco a total of 10 years, many of them as a member of the business community. As a matter of fact, the beginning of my advocacy in public education started as a volunteer for 3 years at Alta Vista Elementary School, one of the schools whose fate hangs in the balance of the state's threats of closure and the decision to begin privatization in Waco ISD before you tonight. Let me be clear, the possibility of even one more school anywhere in Texas being closed is a grim concern. But my wife and I, along with friends from Houston, Dallas, and Austin, come to you today to caution you to look at the bigger picture of what's at stake. Your decision to charter or partner with a third party to manage Waco ISD schools has implications far beyond these 5 campuses. To outsource your management of these schools is an acceptance of the state's power to force local school boards to give up democratic control. It's an acceptance that the state's accountability system and its chronic underfunding of K-12 public education is acceptable. I have followed the news of this board and its new superintendent closely. I know you have reservations of the state's so-called Lone Star governance program and whether this ever-increasing focus on standardized test scores is a positive evolution for public education. Closing schools is bad. No one wants to see that, but saving democratically controlled public education is vital. I urge you, do not acquiesce to the TEA, do not let them hold your schools hostage and only give you bad options. The TEA is bullying you and bullying other high-poverty districts around the state like mine. And the only way to answer a bully is to stand together and stand up. No one district, no one board can fight the TEA alone. I urge you, before you do one more thing, rally with other underfunded, overregulated districts and challenge the TEA in court. I urge you, before you make such high stakes to turn over your schools under duress, make the TEA prove that the STAR test complies with laws like HB 743. If you do, you'll find as parents who sued the state 2 years ago that it doesn't. Make the TEA prove STAR results actually reflect differences in teaching and curriculum as opposed to being simply correlated with socioeconomic status. If you do, you'll find, as UT professor Walter Stroop did, that STAR scores are statistically insensitive to instruction. The end game of both state accountability and the slow suffocation of underfunding Texas public education is privatization, partnering with third parties to run your schools via charter expansions in SB 1882, and doing so under the school board death threat in HB 1842 is a clear path to that privatization end. I ask you, will Waco ISD play TA's game and lose its schools? Will Waco ISD accept sanction after sanction and abdicate its voter democratic control of their schools? Or will you, as trustees, as stewards of Waco's schools, as advocates for public education, will you be a part of the resistance to state overreach and defend our schools? Will you help defend our children? Will you help save public education? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Becker.